She wasn't the loudest woman in the room, or the one trying to be the center of attention. In fact, she was quietly confident, moving through the world on her own terms. And yet, years later, he still thinks about her. It's not just a passing thought. It's a feeling, a permanent emotional echo. So what did she do that made her so unforgettable? It wasn't magic. It was a deep understanding of a few powerful ways to connect that most people overlook. Have you ever wondered why some people just stick in our minds? It's not about being perfect, flawless, or always agreeable. In fact, it's often the opposite. The people who leave a lasting mark are the ones who aren't trying to. They're the ones who create a profound emotional experience, sometimes without even realizing it. This isn't about learning tricks to make someone like you. It's about understanding the real mechanics of human connection, attraction, and memory. It's about growing qualities within yourself that are so authentic and powerful, they naturally make you unforgettable. These are the traits that challenge someone, soothe them, and awaken parts of them they forgot were there. They go way beyond surface-level attraction and create a deep psychological pull. Today, we're exploring the 6 qualities of a woman who leaves a lasting impression. These aren't things you do, they're ways of being. And by the end, you'll not only get why these traits are so powerful, but you'll also have a roadmap to cultivating them in yourself. Not for someone else, but for the sheer confidence and self-worth they bring to your own life. Number 1, the sanctuary of his mind. The first, and maybe the most profound, quality a person never forgets is a woman who becomes a sanctuary for his mind. What does that even mean? In a world where men are often taught to be strong, to provide, to man up, and to hide their fears, many live with their emotional armor constantly on. They learn to perform and protect their vulnerabilities at all costs. Most people in their lives only ever interact with this armor. An unforgettable woman is one whose presence signals that the armor isn't necessary with her. She becomes a safe harbor where he can unload the thoughts he doesn't share with anyone else. She doesn't just listen to his words. She hears the doubt behind his bravado and the exhaustion behind his ambition. Imagine a man comes home after a brutal week. He lost a big client and feels like a total failure. His default setting is to say, "It was fine, just busy," and then try to numb the feeling. A typical response from a partner might be to try and fix it. "Don't worry, you'll get the next one." Or, "What did you do wrong?" While well-intentioned, these replies can force him to keep his armor up. The unforgettable woman does something different. She might just sit with him, put a hand on his shoulder, and say, "That sounds incredibly heavy. You don't have to talk about it, but I'm here." There's no judgment. There's no pressure. She isn't trying to solve his problem. She's offering to share its weight. In that moment, she becomes his ally. She creates a space where his vulnerability isn't a weakness to be hidden, but a human experience to be held. A woman who becomes a safe haven, rather than a source of judgment, leaves a lasting mark. The psychology here is incredibly powerful. While everyone craves emotional security, for men who are so often told to suppress their feelings, finding a non-judgmental space can be a profound relief that is both rare and deeply appreciated. It allows his mind to switch from a state of doing to a state of being. He might not even be able to explain why he feels so at peace with her. He just knows that in her presence, the world gets a little quieter. He'll remember how she made him feel supported and completely understood. This creates a unique emotional imprint. He starts to associate her with a feeling of deep psychological safety, a feeling that can be hard to find. She becomes the one person he can be entirely, messily human with. Years later, his mind will unconsciously drift back to the memory of that feeling, that sanctuary. So how do you create this? It's not about what you say, but how you listen. Practice hearing his words without immediately forming a solution. Let the silence do some of the work. Validate the emotion, not necessarily the behavior. You can say, "I can see why you would feel frustrated," which acknowledges his reality, without co-signing his actions. And most importantly, just hold the space. Sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is simply witness someone's struggle without flinching. Number 2, the weaver of elegant mystery. The second trait that creates a permanent emotional imprint is embodying an elegant mystery. Now, it's really important to separate mystery from secrecy. Secrecy is about hiding things and playing games. It's manipulative. Elegant mystery, on the other hand, isn't an act. It's the natural result of a woman who has a rich, complex inner world that is entirely her own. She's not an open book you can read in one sitting. She has chapters he may not get to for years, if ever. And that's not because she's hiding them, but because her life, her thoughts, and her passions are so self-sustaining that they don't depend on him. Picture this. A woman on a first date is eager to connect and lays all her cards on the table. She talks about her exes, her family drama, and her 5-year plan. By the end of the dinner, the man feels like he knows everything. The intrigue is gone. The journey of discovery is over before it started. Another woman is different. She's present and engaging. She shares parts of herself, but her stories hint at a larger world. She might talk about a project she's passionate about, but she speaks of why it excites her, not every single detail. She leaves the date feeling warm and connected, but he also has a dozen questions. Who is she really? This woman has an element of mystery. Her life doesn't revolve around finding a partner. It revolves around her own growth and purpose. A relationship might complement her life, but it will never be the center of it. That independence is incredibly magnetic. The psychology here taps into a fundamental driver of attraction: curiosity. Our brains are wired to solve puzzles. When something is a little uncertain or unpredictable, our brain wants to figure it out, which increases our mental investment. The man's mind keeps circling back to her, trying to fill in the blanks, which deepens her emotional imprint. It creates a healthy tension that's hard to replace. How do you cultivate this without being manipulative? First, nurture your own private world. Have hobbies and passions that are just for you. You don't need to report every detail of your life. This isn't about hiding. It's about having a self that is whole on its own. Second, practice the art of self-editing, especially on social media. You don't need to broadcast every thought or outing. The woman who seems to be living her life instead of just documenting it has an inherent mystique. Third, become a better listener than a talker. When you focus more on understanding the other person than on being understood, you naturally become more intriguing. This trait isn't about playing hard to get. It's about being hard to forget. It's the quiet confidence of knowing that your worth isn't based on how much of yourself you give away, but on the richness of the self you build in private. Number 3, the anchor of unshakable self-respect. The third quality that makes a woman unforgettable is her unshakable self-respect, shown not through loud demands, but through quiet, unwavering standards. Many people think setting boundaries means delivering ultimatums. But the truly unforgettable woman's power doesn't come from threatening to leave. It comes from the fact that he knows, on a deep, instinctual level, that she simply will leave. Not with a fight, but with the quiet dignity of someone who knows her own value. Let's say a man is consistently late. He texts 20 minutes after they were supposed to meet, saying, "So sorry, running behind." One woman might get angry and text back, "This is the third time. If you do this again, we're done." It's a boundary, but it's a loud one that invites a cycle of apologies and repeated behavior. The unforgettable woman with quiet self-respect handles it differently. The first time, she might say, "I hope everything is okay. My time is valuable, so I can only wait another 10 minutes. She's calm, but firm. She isn't punishing him, she's honoring herself. If it happens a second time, she might not be there when he arrives. If he calls, she might say calmly, "I left because it was clear our schedules weren't aligning. I feel best when I'm with people who are as respectful of my time as I am of theirs." There's no drama, but the message is crystal clear. She hasn't issued a threat. She has made a choice that reflects her standards. She didn't try to change him. She removed herself from a situation that didn't work for her. Psychologically, this is profound. Her quiet dignity creates a vacuum. Her silence is more deafening than any argument because it communicates that he hasn't just crossed a line. He's demonstrated that he isn't a match for her standards. This triggers a deep sense of respect and even awe. He realizes her self-worth is non-negotiable. It's not something he can charm or argue his way around. This quiet confidence and emotional independence disrupt his expectations and force him to see her not as someone to be won over, but as someone to be worthy of. So, how do you cultivate this? First, get crystal clear on your non-negotiables. What are the baseline standards you require in any relationship? Know them and live by them. Second, practice the calm response. When a boundary is crossed, train yourself to pause and respond from your values, not just your emotions. Your goal isn't to punish, but to protect your own peace. Third, be okay with walking away. This means being willing to lose a relationship rather than lose yourself. When you aren't afraid of being alone, you hold all the power. A woman with this kind of self-respect becomes a benchmark. She sets a new standard for what a high-value woman looks and feels like, and that standard gets etched in his mind. Number 4. The mirror to his higher self. The fourth trait of an unforgettable woman is that she acts as a mirror to his higher self. She doesn't just see him for who he is, she sees who he could be, and she reflects that potential back to him in a way that inspires him to rise. This isn't about being a fixer. A woman who constantly nags a man about his career or his habits will only breed resentment. The unforgettable woman does the opposite. She doesn't try to change him. She inspires him to change himself. She does this not through criticism, but through her belief in him, and more importantly, by the example she sets. Let's say a man is stuck in a dead-end job he complains about. He has dreams of starting his own business, but is paralyzed by fear. A fixer might say, "You need to quit. Why aren't you working on your business plan?" This language, even if well-intentioned, is rooted in judgment. The woman who is a mirror takes a different approach. She listens to his dreams with genuine excitement. She might say, "That idea sounds incredible. You have such a unique vision for it. I can totally see you succeeding." She speaks life into his potential without adding pressure. More powerfully, she's busy building her own dreams. He sees her taking risks and working towards something that matters to her. Her actions become a silent, powerful form of encouragement. Her fire ignites his own. The psychology here is rooted in inspiration versus motivation. Motivation is often an external push. Inspiration is an internal pull. The unforgettable woman doesn't push, she pulls. By holding up a mirror to his best self, she makes him want to be that man. It becomes his own goal, not her assignment. Her belief doesn't feel like pressure. It feels like faith. It's a powerful experience for anyone to be seen, not just for their accomplishments, but for the greatness they have yet to unlock. He starts to associate her with his own ambition and strength. She's not just the woman he loves. She's the woman who makes him want to be worthy of that love. Losing her feels like losing access to that better version of himself. How do you become this mirror? First, genuinely believe in his potential. You have to see the gold beneath the dust. Look for his core strengths, his integrity, his creativity, his resilience, and reflect those back to him. Second, use inspiring language. Focus on what he could be, not what he isn't. Third, and most critically, be the primary example. Be ambitious in your own right. When he sees you striving for your higher self, it will give him the courage to strive for his. Number 5. The embodiment of true authenticity. The fifth quality that sears a woman into someone's memory is her unapologetic authenticity. In a world filtered to perfection, a person who is genuinely themselves is a breath of fresh air. The authentic woman isn't trying to be liked. She's just focused on being. She embraces her quirks, owns her flaws, and speaks her truth without needing constant approval. This isn't about being brutally honest as an excuse for cruelty. It's about self-awareness and self-acceptance. It's the woman who will laugh with a loud, uninhibited snort because something is funny. It's the woman who will admit she doesn't know something rather than pretending. Imagine a group conversation turns to a trendy TV show everyone loves. One woman, wanting to fit in, might pretend to love it too. She's seeking connection through conformity. The authentic woman, if she hasn't seen it, will just say, "I actually missed that one. I've been completely obsessed with reading about ancient Roman history lately." She hasn't judged the group. She has simply and honestly stated her own reality. In that moment, she stands out. She has revealed that she has her own mind and isn't afraid to be different. Authenticity is magnetic because it's real in a world full of performance. The psychology here is twofold. First, it builds trust. When someone is authentic, we instinctively feel that what we see is what we get. Second, it gives him permission to be authentic too. Her comfort in her own skin creates a space where he can also let his guard down. It's the difference between two masks interacting and two souls connecting. A woman's authenticity makes her memorable because she is, by her very nature, unique. He might meet other beautiful or smart women, but he will never meet another her. Her specific combination of quirks and passions is a one-time only event. How do you cultivate this? First, get to know yourself. What are your core values? What lights you up? Journal. Figure out what makes you, you. Second, practice speaking your truth in small ways. State your real opinion on a movie. Wear what makes you feel good, not just what's trendy. Each small act of authenticity builds the muscle. Third, embrace your imperfections. Admitting when you're wrong and laughing at your own mistakes makes you more human and relatable, not less attractive. Number 6. The psychology of the emotional imprint. Before our final point, it's important to get why these traits are so powerful. What is happening in the brain that makes these experiences so permanent? The answer is the emotional imprint. An emotional imprint isn't just a memory, it's a significant emotional experience that gets deeply embedded in the brain. These imprints are formed during moments of heightened emotion, experiences that are surprising, profound, or disrupt our normal state of being. When we have an experience like this, our brain's amygdala, the emotional processing center, essentially tags the memory as critically important. It signals the hippocampus, responsible for memory formation, to store it in long-term memory with vivid detail. This is why you can remember exactly where you were during a major life event, but not what you had for lunch last Tuesday. The emotional charge makes the memory stick. The traits we've discussed are all masters at creating these powerful emotional events. The woman who provides a sanctuary creates profound relief. The woman of mystery creates stimulating curiosity. The woman of unshakable self-respect delivers a jolt of awe. The woman who mirrors his higher self inspires a feeling of being truly seen. And the authentic woman provides the rare experience of genuine connection. These are emotionally significant events that set a new standard. While some research hints at subtle average differences in how men and women might recall emotional events, the underlying process is universal. A powerful emotional experience gets flagged by the brain as important. Save this in everyone. When a woman embodies these traits, she's becoming a significant emotional event in his life. She's creating a powerful imprint that his brain has tagged as unforgettable. Number 7. The giver of graceful goodbyes. The final, and maybe most counterintuitive, quality of a woman who is never forgotten is the way she leaves. A woman who can walk away with grace and dignity leaves an echo of her power that lasts a lifetime. Most endings are messy. They're filled with anger, tears, and a desperate attempt to have the last word. That kind of ending, while emotional, is predictable. The unforgettable woman refuses to play a role in that drama. When she knows a relationship is over, she accepts it with a quiet strength that is both heartbreaking and respectable. She doesn't fight for someone who doesn't want to be fought for. She doesn't try to convince him of her worth. She simply lets go. Imagine a man ends a relationship. He's prepared for the fallout. Instead, she looks at him, with sadness in her eyes but not defeat, and says something like, "I'm sad to hear that, and I'll miss what we had. I wish you peace on your path." And then, silence. She doesn't call. She doesn't text. She unfollows him on social media, not as a public statement, but as a private act of self-preservation. She grieves the loss in private and turns her energy toward her own healing. This response is completely disarming. The absence of a fight leaves a void, and into that void, respect begins to grow. He didn't just lose a girlfriend, he lost someone with immense class. Her graceful exit is the final powerful demonstration of her high value. It proves her self-worth was never tied to his presence in her life. The psychology of a graceful goodbye is a masterclass in emotional power. Her silence becomes a statement. My peace is more important than this fight. He is left alone with his decision, without the convenient distraction of her anger. He can't blame her for being crazy. He is forced to sit with the full weight of her absence. And in that quiet, he will begin to remember everything else about her. The graceful goodbye doesn't erase the memory of the relationship. It enshrines it. In short, we have the sanctuary for his mind, the weaver of elegant mystery, the anchor of unshakable self-respect, the mirror to his higher self, the embodiment of authenticity, and the giver of graceful goodbyes. As you can see, none of these are about pretending. They are deep qualities that come from a place of profound self-worth and a commitment to living a full life. To be a sanctuary, you must first find peace in yourself. To be mysterious, you must have a life that is fulfilling on its own. To have self-respect, you must know your value is non-negotiable. To be a mirror, you must be striving towards your own higher self. To be authentic, you must be brave enough to be truly seen. And to give a graceful goodbye, you must know that your life is whole, with or without him. Ultimately, this isn't about being remembered by a man. This is about becoming unforgettable to yourself. It's about building a life so full of purpose and integrity that your presence naturally leaves a mark. The goal is not to be the woman he can't forget, but to be the woman you are proud to be, every single day. When you do that, being unforgettable is just a beautiful side effect. If this message resonated with you, show some love by hitting that like button and subscribing for more insights into relationships and self-worth. And now, I have a question for you. Which of these 6 qualities resonated with you the most? Or is there a 7th you believe is even more powerful? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one and can't wait to hear from you.